Hello everybody, welcome back to Board Game Nation. Today I'm excited because we're going to be looking at an expansion fresh from Gen Con. And it's from one of my favorite games and designers. And it is, that's right, Imperial Settlers, the Atlanteans. That's what it is, the Atlanteans. So, this little game is designed by Ignacy Chevicek. Sorry, I got your name wrong. Great little expansion. It's smaller than I thought, right? But it's a small box. I'll probably get rid of this and just add it in. Although I think it's really important to keep this separated because now you're getting into a situation where you're actually deck building your game before you play, so it's really kind of important to keep things organized. It also increases the game to 5 players, which he recommends that maybe you shouldn't do that because it lengthens the game, and I probably would say that too. It is quite a long game when you add this expansion in, even with 4 players. Okay, that's my experience. So we're going to do how to play, and then the next video is going to be playing it, and maybe another video after that playing it, and then we'll have a review like usual. So let's get started on how to play Imperial Settlers Atlanteans. Okay everybody, here we go with the how to play video. Now, before we get started, I just want to show you what exactly is going on with the setup. So right here at the top is what the game comes with. There's a bunch of common cards and each faction deck. Then right here is the new expansion, which is the Atlanteans. And right here is the previous expansion, which is Why Can't We Be Friends? Now, this expansion has been removed from this game. So as you can see, the Atlanteans come with 30 cards and an extra 10 cards from the previous expansion's Why Can't We Be Friends? Now, on these cards, if you look in the tiniest little minute corner on the planet, you'll see, like, I can't see that, but whatever. I'm going to gripe on this a little bit in my review, but you can see that there's a little F with a heart, Why Can't We Be Friends, that indicates that this card is part of the next expansion. I believe the numbers go past 30 as well. So that's how you can tell. I wish it was bigger, like, I mean, just change something, like have a line, make a bunch of dots here, or I'm not sure. But that's how you tell. Now, I'm not going to talk about the previous expansion, Why Can't We Be Friends, because we've removed it, but how you tell is that by the numbers in this tiny little corner. I gave up on that. It's impossible. I can't see it. I've now sleeved this entire set with holograms. So all the rest are hologrammed, so you can take them out of the base game fairly easily. And that's what I would do. I would sleeve it and make a mark, put a marker on it or something like that. It really doesn't work all that well how it's set up. Now the new expansion, they all have gears on them for the other factions. So that little tiny thing there, I don't know if you can see it, but it is a gear. So there are 10 for each faction. So to play this game with the expansion, you're going to draft in these cards to your primary deck of 30 cards. Now there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can just mash them all together, so all 3 of them, which is going to be very chaotic. You can take these 2 decks and mash them together to make 40 cards, or you can take these cards and draft down to 30 cards. So you mix these two decks together and you take out 10 cards from this deck so you can add in these decks. And I'll explain that in a minute. We will be using the Japanese, and we will be using the new race, the Atlanteans. So let's set up for that. Okay, there you go. So we've got our common deck from the original game. We've got our common deck for the Japanese. We've got the Atlanteans pack, which are 10 cards for the Japanese. We've got 28 common cards, new common cards with the gears on them. And we've got our Atlantis deck, just the 30 cards. I have completely removed the Why Can't We Be Friends expansion. Now, in standard play, which is kind of the recommended play, you can only add one expansion to the game. So if you include the Atlantean expansion, then you can't use Why Can't We Be Friends, unless you just want to play a relaxed game, which is perfectly fine. Now, this, I don't know how they're going to do if there's more expansions coming out, because that means you won't be able to, let's say, play the Atlanteans with another new race if they come out, which I'm sure they will, but I'm sure they'll figure it out, hopefully, and hopefully they'll figure out a better system of showing you what expansion each thing comes from. Okay, so now we're going to have to do some things to the deck. These 28 cards are going to be shuffled now into this common deck. So that is pretty simple. We stay with these are done. Now we're going to have to take this deck and this deck, and we're going to choose 30 cards out of this deck, 10 cards out of this deck to remove so we can put these 10 in. And there are some rules, so let's get to it. Okay, here we go. So here is my basic Japanese deck. And if we look down, there's some cards here. Now, here are the expansion cards, all of them. There is one set of 3 cards, so there's 3 of these. And how you can tell that is right in the corner here, there are 3 faces. And that says that there are 3 types of these cards. So when you're doing this expansion, you must take this card, and it's called a Modern Farm, and you must replace, in the common deck, the farm. Okay, so what the big difference is here is it's a production card. You get a guy and a vegetable, and here you get a gear, a guy, and a vegetable. So it gets you something extra so you can use the expansion. So we now get rid of this. Okay, it's out of the game, and this is in the game. So the next one is, it has 2 here, all right? So there's 1, 2, and there's 2 of these cards. The next one, the same, and then there's 3 singles, okay? So we're going to have to choose the same thing. So we're going to come over here, and we're going to go into our deck, and we're going to find a card that has 2 cards of the same, and we'll replace these 2 with one of these 2, okay? So that's what you have to do. So I've chosen this set and this set. So that means that these 2 can come into the game, and we'll change it, and these will be taken out. The next thing is the singles, which I only have 2 here. Hang on. There we go, that's better. So we have 3 cards that I want to get rid of, and the 3 cards here that I want to put in. Now let's say if I didn't want one of these cards, I say this is not a very good card. I don't have to take it. That just means that I would only have to take out I would take out 2 of these instead of the 3. So in total, you are going to have a new deck with 30 cards in it, and that's how you build your deck. Okay, so I've randomly selected some cards here to show you how this faction particularly works. Now, the first major thing with the Atlanteans is that if you look over here, there are no victory points indicated, unlike, let's say, these common cards or other faction cards. Other faction cards will be 2 victory points at the end of the game for each faction card you have. And in the Atlanteans, you get no victory points for these cards. And thematically, that's because the Atlantis sinks. So all these cards here won't exist at the end of the game. So you need to make your victory points during the game. And there are a couple of little bonuses that you can do to make sure that you can accomplish that. The first thing that you can do is that you can take, if you have a technology, you can take a technology and put it on any common building. So I could put it here, 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 it doesn't matter. But I cannot put them on the faction buildings. So let's say I put it right here on this production building. And I would put it at the top to make things a little easier to tell. Now, if I usually, what I do is if I put them on down on the bottom for action cards, that means I'm activating. But at the top indicates that I'm upgrading this building. And what this means, this cog, is it means that every time this card gets activated, or the production gets activated on this card, instead of getting 2 workers, it doubles. So this doubles the power or the production. So I would get, instead of 2, I would get 4. That's great. So down here, if I put it on this building, it says, feature, each time you build a gray building, you gain 2 of your choice, a victory point, $1, or a gear. Okay? So once again, having this upgraded with this gear, which costs nothing, just on your turn you can place it there, before or after your turn, you can double whatever feature this is. So instead of getting 2 gold, I could get 4. Quite nice. So that's a nice card to have. Now, down here, it's a little different. If I place this here for free, once again, it upgrades the action building so I can do that action 1 and only 1 more time. So since this card doesn't, it just states you can do this, that means now I can do this twice. This building, same thing. And that building, the same thing as well. Certain buildings will actually say on them that the action can be used twice. And those cards you'll be able to activate 3 times. So I'm just going to search through the deck and try to find one for you. Okay, so here's one, maybe activated twice. So if I place this right here, this means that it could be activated 3 times. Okay? So that's the first cog. The second thing that you can do is there's certain cards that will get you advanced cogs. So for instance, this one says spend 2 resources, either wood, stone, or apples, to gain either a regular technology or an advanced technology. And as soon as you get an advanced technology, so let's say I spend these 2. Right here, boom, boom, and I can grab this, which is an advanced technology. Now I can keep it here, or I can play it out. Doesn't matter. When I play them out, it's not an action. So what this does is, if I put my cog here, my advanced shield technology, this makes it harder to raise this building. So if an opponent wanted to raise this building for the 2 meeples here, I could place this here, and now you would need 3 raise tokens, 3 of these, to actually raise this building. Now, other raise shields can be put on that. So I can have a raise here, or a shield here, and one of these shields. So that means you would have to spend 4 raise tokens to get rid of this card. So I've got a way to boost my protection, and it's quite easy to do. Okay, so that is, and once again, I can only put this on common buildings. The next one is this, and it's a victory point. I can place this on the building, and you can notice I can have the 2 of these here. It's fine. Okay, I couldn't have multiple of the same type, but if they're different, I can have them. So this technology says every time this card is activated, which it is activated in the production phase, I will get a victory point. So I move up on the victory point. If this was over here, and it said every time I do this action, so I can do this action once, instead of getting 3 victory points for doing it, I would get 4, because this is being upgraded to give me an extra victory point every time this is activated. Same with the feature cards as well. Every time it happens that feature gets activated, you get a victory point. Now, we can also have our basic technology on here, right? Like I said. So the maximum technologies that you can have on any one card that are active or changing the actual card is the 3 here. And also you can have a shield. So there you go. I've completely upgraded this card quite a bit. So now when when somebody wants to raise me, they have to spend 4 raise tokens. Right. Every time there's a production, I get 3 meeples and 1 victory point. And there you go. So that kind of allows these common cards to become more powerful. And that is the focus of the Atlanteans. The Atlanteans are quite easy to get the buildings out. As you can see, there's no real resources to build these. Most of them are just build it and get rid of a building. But these buildings are the things that are scoring you stuff. So you want to keep them. So like, you know, these buildings are good that you can throw away. And there are some buildings that just, you know, in the Atlantean deck, it just needs a stone to build it. And they're usually production buildings. So there you go. The other thing that is quite different here is that you get 1 to 4 shields at the beginning of each round every time, depending on the number of players. Okay? You get 4 people, technology, and a stone each round. So things change quite a bit. But other than that, the same rules apply. Now, there will be cards in the Japanese deck that will change things, but they are just card-based. So you read it, the card, and you'll pretty much understand it. There are other cards like this one. There's only one of these, and this is a new card, and it's an event card. And what this means is when it comes up, if somebody drafts it, they see it and they immediately put it down, and it says each player gets a technology. Bam, everybody gets that. Now, if he was drawing this card on his turn using an action and it was supposed to be for him, he puts it down, the event happens, and then he draws another common card. If this comes out during the draft, in the lookout phase, we just, once again, do the effect, get rid of the card, and draw a new card into the lookout area. Okay? So there are a few other special cards that I want to show you. Okay, these are the 2 other cards I kind of want to talk about. And these cards are abilities accessed by another action. So, what does that mean? Well, right here you can see action and then another action. You have to perform this action first, and then on a later turn, you can perform this one. And this is how it works. I would spend whatever it says, so 1 technology, and once that technology is on there, like that, this round, and remember I would keep it down here, this round, I have now initiated the second action, which amazingly lets me spend 1 person to gain a wood, a stone, or a fruit. may be activated multiple times. So basically, this faction card changes this ability to spend 2 workers to get a wood, a stone, or a food, but not the card, right? The card is still the same. So it reduces the cost of that. But it will not do anything for me until I activate it. And once it's activated, I can now go back on a later turn to activate this section of it. Once the round finishes, all the things go back, and I will have to activate it again on a later round to get this action. Okay? Now, the next one is very similar. It says, this is what you can do to activate this card. Once it is activated, it has a feature ability. And this feature will last for the rest of the round. So for instance, if I spend 1 technology and 1 person, each time you score with the scoring action from a common building, I gain 1 more victory point. So this kind of really is quite powerful. Quite nice to actually have. But I would have to activate it every single round. And probably the first thing I would do is activate this card. Okay, so those are the new things in the Imperial Settlers Atlanteans. Now, once again, I did not include the Let's Be Friends expansion, which brings in kind of an attack card, a volcano card, and an open production cards, and a couple of other things. Yes, so that is it for the how to play. So right after this, I'm going to put up a video of me going through a playthrough with the Japanese and the Atlanteans decks, and then we'll follow up with another video with my review. So thank you very much. If you liked this, if this was informative for you, please give me a like and or a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much, and good night.